Good Packer Nation morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day here. I hope you are doing well. You are almost to the weekend. That's always a good thing. Unless you work weekends, then it's not quite so good. But let me know who you are, where you're coming at me from. We will do a little Packer Nation roll call as we get started today. And of course, all the buzz, even in Packer Nation, it's more of a joke than anything. Jay Cutler signs on with Fox. Patrick is here, says good morning to everybody. Tyron is here. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Oh, bummer. Adriana is here, if I'm reading that right. My globe is making it hard. Marquez and David. Roger is here. Roger sent me the post this morning, in case you didn't get it, that the Packers have signed Colin Kaepernick to back up Aaron. And that tells me that Hundley will then be traded, right? Actually, it was a joke post, and I did not fall for it. I just wanted to let you know, probably because it's Friday. If it had been Monday, I probably had a hook, line, and sinker. But I looked at it, and I hesitated, and then I was like, no, this is not right. Chad's here from Iowa. Tyron, I'm doing well, man. The more I look at this team, the more I love it. I got to be honest. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Chrissy is here. But guys, it's FanTalk Friday. Sherry, what do you want to talk about? Jason, what do you want to talk about? I'd like to turn it over to you. Yes, Brandon, like I mentioned, Jay Cutler is now, and this is, Jeff messaged me right before I went on the show, and he's like, that's a lukewarm cup of coffee right there. I think watching Jay Cutler in the booth, hi Virginia Marie, honestly, I think it's going to be like turtles humping. I mean, it's just going to be the most ridiculous. I'd rather watch paint dry, grass grow. It's going to be ridiculous. But and again, let me get this straight. Now, seriously, here's a serious side to this. Bryce, let me get this straight. ESPN fires hundreds of guys, morning Sarah, who know what they're doing to be more entertaining. Fox hires the least entertaining human being on the planet to come into their booth. Ronnie says it's going to be like eating cardboard. Good one. Or chewing on aluminum foil. Put them up, guys. It's FanTalk Friday. What is your favorite metaphor for Jay Cutler being in the booth for Fox? I'm loving it already. Eating cardboard. Cody is here. Good to see you, buddy. And Bryce is asking a very good, when are people going to stop paying Cutler millions? Frankly, I think the only way, maybe, we all saw the pictures that, I guess it was Cutler's wife posted on her Instagram of Jay Cutler's naked butt. Maybe they're going to start a naked booth, sort of a segment that they do. I will not be watching. I don't know. It's like smelling wet dog. Oh. Saxon picks as an announcer. That's what I posted on our Facebook page just before we went live. I was like, let me get this straight. So we watched him throw picks to RDBs for that many years. Hi, John, Chrissy. Now we're going to watch him talk about the Bears throwing picks to RDBs for years. Tano, the best way to get Green Bay tickets is to have a friend who has some. Sean is here. So yeah, Jay Cutler's going to be in the booth for Fox too, which, Fox has the contract that, and I didn't get all the details on that. He's going to join Burkhardt and Charles Davis, who I like and now will stay away from. I'd rather lick dirt off my shoe. Threw up in my mouth a little bit. Jay throws an idea to Fox. Boom, intercepted. Well done. So yeah, that was the big breaking news this morning in the offseason. And frankly, I think there's a lot more interesting news, even though it's harder to get, guys. And And that is this rookie orientation that's going on right now. And all the boys that we brought in starting to get orientated, or yesterday, I guess, got oriented. Everybody says orientated, though. And so, yeah, this rookie class, including the undrafted free agents, now has its chance to start to gel and to start to understand the history of the Packers, understand the situation that they have, understand the opportunity that's there. And you got to feel like guys like Vince Beagle and Lance Kendricks are pretty stoked today to be in this. All right, well, I guess, Kendricks is not out there at the rookie orientation, but Kendricks and Beagle, are going to be very happy. Kendricks' route was quite a bit more roundabout, but then he also now is a veteran. So Derek is asking, live video from camp. We are working on that. And Brandon, I think it was. Yeah, my buddy Brandon. We're going to be catching up with him probably pretty soon here. If you want to become a contributor via live feed to our Facebook page, we can now do that for you and get you tons and tons of video views. And frankly, if we can get enough people doing this, just think how much fuller your experience of the Green Bay Packers offseason could be. We're very excited about this. There's Brandon. How you doing, buddy? And he's going to be there. So let's give Brandon our support. Let's give Brandon a thumbs up for being willing to do this. We want more. We want a lot of folks out there. And smoothing out the Packers off season. Pretty soon, you're going to have your OTAs. Brandon getting a little love out there. And that's what basically you find out. If you can go live and just show people a glimpse of what's going on, it makes a big difference. All right. And actually, while we're on the subject of Brandon, we do have a question. FanTalk Friday. This was, I may end up doing these just on Fridays. But we did have good questions since I haven't seen a whole lot of activity just yet. Hold on a second. Okay. Roger needs some coffee. I'm way ahead right now. Grab your coffee. Brandon asked, depending on the development of Josh Jones, I can see him starting a lot more at strong safety and putting Morgan Burnett more into that hybrid safety / slot corner role. Yet still starting. As Morgan proved last year due to injuries, he can come down in the box and cover the slot receiver or the tight end. Plus, for added run support, ideally, wouldn't it be a better player to fill Micah Hyde's former role? What's your take on that, especially with us having options with Kentrell Brice as well? And Kentrell Brice is a guy we don't want to forget in this situation. Big hitter. Really liked kind of what we saw out of him from time to time. And I think the biggest key is depending on the development of Josh Jones. So ultimately, the part of the question that says ultimately, wouldn't Josh Jones be a better player to fill Micah Hyde's former role? I think with the hybrid nature of that safety position, of the way it's been developing, ultimately, Josh Jones, the thing about that is we don't know yet how well Jones is going to be able to play if he has to play the corner role out of the backfield against, especially against slot receivers. The beauty of it is those two positions are becoming really almost interchangeable at this point. But if I'm looking at this situation, ultimately, I want Josh Jones to play that big nickel safety, be able to play the run, as well as take the tight ends out. He's 10 pounds bigger than Morgan Burnett. The question is going to be what happens with Morgan Burnett. If Morgan Burnett continues to have good season, you're going to want to get him on the field. So basically, you're going to be playing a lot more of that big safety. Josh Jones is actually a hybrid between the Micah Hyde role and the Morgan Burnett role. Because Micah Hyde's not going to go down and play linebacker. And that's why Josh Jones, ideally and ultimately, he is going to be that hybrid, to me, that hybrid safety role and fill more of a Morgan Burnett position than a Micah Hyde position. Morgan Burnett, when he was forced into that linebacker role, that was where I'm giving all the credit in the world to him for doing it, but I think that is where he was weakest when he was forced into that. Now, you get a Josh Jones in there, and again, going back, the most important thing is depending on how he develops. But you get a Josh Jones in there, he's 10 pounds heavier. He's a full tenth faster. He's a hard hitter. He can play the run. He is just a bigger, and then his explosiveness with his vertical jump. He's going to be the guy. You don't want Micah Hyde on tight ends, ideally and ultimately. And that's why your Josh Jones prototype is the guy you are going to want in that hybrid safety position as far as I'm concerned, ultimately. Now, right off the bat, they're going to be able to move him around, I think, and I do think he is going to challenge Morgan Burnett for playing time. I think even right out of the gate, because again, it depends on how he develops. I'd like to see him be able to develop a little more slowly. But depending on how he develops, because that big nickel package, Fritz Schmurr called it the big nickel package. I'm not sure that's what Dom Capers has it in his book as or not. But basically a 3 safety set where you've got a guy that he can cover a slot receiver, but he also can take care of tight ends out of the backfield. Josh Jones is your man. He's got the biggest defense radius, and that's what you need to have. You're going to have guys that are taller than Jones out there. He's almost 6'2", but he's got to be able to go against 6'5" guys that outweigh him. You want your guy that's a tenth faster. He's got a much better vertical jump. However, Morgan Burnett is the veteran right now, and that's why if I had my druthers, I would like to be able to slowly move him in. And but I do think he then challenges Morgan Burnett, and honestly, I mean, if you look at the Packers picking Josh Jones, yes, he was best player available, but not only that, and yes, he can fulfill that Micah Hyde role. But the thing that Micah Hyde you don't want doing, and you're not going to want to do with Micah Hyde, is make him play responsibilities that are linebacker responsibilities. Josh Jones, on the other hand, is going to do that. That's why I see him back there at that hybrid. But again, these positions are so fluid in the Packers defense. They ask every DB to do an awful lot. And they ask Micah Hyde to do an awful lot. So a lot of it comes down to semantics by the time all's said and done. But, you especially in year one, since, again, depending on his development, but he's going to have a lot to absorb. Josh Jones is a guy they are going to cross-train all over the place. But if you can limit that just a little bit, because he's not going to be in the cornerback room, he's going to be with the safeties. And, they're going to cross paths quite a bit. But to me, ideally and ultimately, Jones remains that hybrid safety that can drop down in the box, can play the run, but has the size, the weight, and the speed to really improve our ability to cover tight ends. Remember, one of the problems the Packers defense has had in the past, even when we had Sam Shields, what was the problem that continued to rear its ugly head? It was covering tight ends for a long time. Once Sam Shields exited, it broke the whole defensive backfield situation wide open, okay? But now we've got our Kevin King. Kevin King is like a bigger, faster Sam Shields. Again, a rookie. It depends on how he develops. But you've also got your Josh Jones. With as many cornerbacks as we have in the mix right now, and as many safeties as we have in the mix, I see us running Josh Jones on the safety side, cross-training him to whatever he shows ability at. But if we remain healthy, we will not have to be throwing him into the fire on all these things. We can use him for potentially advantageous matchups. Because he's going to be one of those guys that if he comes along pretty fast, he's going to be ideal against those tight ends. He's as ideal as you can get against a big, heavy tight end. No, none of them will be quicker than him, hardly. With his height and his leaping ability, he's going to be absolutely ideal in that situation. And again, you're mostly playing with semantics. And the other thing, remember what we lost last year. We talked about this, and I see it coming on the comment stream, is remember, Clinton Dix can blitz, but we were barely able to do that last year. Why? Because we didn't have enough guys. We didn't even know what the defensive backfield was going to look like. Now, if we can stay healthy, at least, at the beginning of the year, you expect. Look at the blitz packages that Dom Capers is drooling right now. Hey, Gene, Andrew. Look at the blitz packages. We know has the ability to do it. Morgan Burnett's there. I think with a speed burner like even Kevin King, but Josh Jones in particular, because you can send that man now, and then rotate over. So a lot of that, of course, will depend. And we're not going to do much of it in the preseason, but they're going to have to, through training camp and through the preseason, show some ability for some of those things, especially the rookies. But I do see that a safety and corner blitz coming back to the Packers defense. We didn't see it last year. It'd be interesting to note how many times we sent a defensive back on a blitz. I remember a few, but it was almost impossible. We just didn't have the person. We were not confident enough in our personnel to do it. Richard's asking a good question. Will King be on his own island? Will we be seeing King's Island right off the bat in 2017? That's a very good question. And again, it depends on how he was drafted. Some of the pressure, if King had been drafted in round 1, there would maybe have been more pressure. He's basically a first-round draft choice, but he did come in the second. I just think, the thing is going to be just lack of experience. It's just going to be lack of experience. And John, we'll talk about the inside linebacker position in a little bit. So if we see Kings Island in 2017, that depends on how he develops and how he comes along in training camp. He's going to have, remember, we're going to have less and less of those veterans in. This is the way I think Mike McCarthy's going to do it for the long haul. Less and less of those veterans in during the preseason games, and we're going to come back with a lot of, and that what the advantage we get out of that is more reps for the rookies. And those reps for the rookies are going to be incredibly important down the road. The guys with more tread on the tires that know what they're doing are going to stand and watch a little bit. And the young bucks out there are going to get more reps. So, folks, does anybody else get tired of every time you post anything on the preseason, people say it's complete, it doesn't matter? I am going to be watching this preseason, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to be watching it. You're going to see some one-on-one matchups. Remember last year, they were throwing guys into different positions. You're going to see Josh Jones play the linebacker position most likely, or come up with those responsibilities as a big safety. And they're going to throw him in to see how he does in that situation. It's the ideal evaluation tool for the coaching staff. And Kevin King is another one. They're going to throw them in. Any chance they get. Let's go back. Let me look it up. Let's see who our preseason games are. We start with the Eagles, right? Any chance we get to put Kevin King on the best wide receiver we can get him up against. And, with the Eagles, Washington, the Broncos, and the Rams in the preseason, we're going to do that. And so that will be, I think, what answers the question. And I do think we will see it. I'm kind of thinking mid to late season. And we have the comment being made, I hope we can avoid the injury bug this year. So give a thumbs up if you're down for that. If we can avoid the injury bug, let me remind you of the situation, because I was frankly belly aching about this. At the playoff run, after we ran the table, we made it to the playoffs, I started looking at the injury situation when we went to play the Dallas Cowboys. We had to travel away. Games played in Arlington. This was win or go home. And the Packers were one of the most banged up teams, the most banged up team on the board. The Dallas Cowboys were as healthy a team as you could possibly have. You could possibly field at this point. And the Packers went in and beat them anyway. All right? So if we stay healthy, keep our best players on the field, let these rookies develop, I think it bodes very well for the Packers in this season. I just hope those Raiders can get it done in the AFC and the Packers get it done in the NFC. I'm the first and only one that I know of that has called attention to that we could have had a Super Bowl 51 Chiefs rematch and a Super Bowl 52, which still could be, Packers-Raiders rematch. All right, let's see what else we got up here. Waylon says, I think Callahan is better than Hundley also. A lot of people do. It would be a crying shame if Hundley doesn't step up and solidify himself as the number 2. Because you can tear up all your contracts that you're hoping to trade Brett Hundley if he's a number 3 next year. It is best for the Packers that Hundley shines. He's going to get plenty of chances. Callahan's going to get plenty of chances too. And I do think our undrafted free agent, whose name I'm missing right now, will show something. All right. Gene. All right, Gene says, and you guys can comment on this, I think the Falcons and Patriots are the major concern. The two that, the thing about the Falcons is I think we might be kind of eyeballing them. One thing the Falcons have shown is they can truly falter. Matt Ryan was on all last year. He was consistent, but he can falter. And you look at the teams that come back after a playoff loss, most recently the Carolina Panthers, and they tend to actually miss the playoffs. So we've got the Falcons. It's going to be a tough game. I agree completely. Taysom Hill, that's right. Thank you for that. It slipped my mind for a second. But if the Falcons have that sort of historic slide, and who better to start that slide than the Green Bay Packers in week 2? I have a much better feeling about that game looking at our rookie class, our draft class, than I had when all I had to look at was the same team, the guys we brought in free agency, and the way we played last year. Okay? But again, it goes back to the statement, if we can keep the injury bug, you're never going to, and nobody means this when they say it, but you're never going to completely avoid it. But if we can keep Clay Matthews healthy and we can keep Perry healthy, that's a good start. Roger, want to make it the Vikings' first Super Bowl with the Packers winning. We got to double up, man. We did it at Arlington. Under Big Blue, that gaudy, ridiculous television set. I mean, it's kind of pathetic, and Mike McCarthy mentioned this. It's kind of pathetic when you've got to build such a big television set that it really commands the attention of not just the audience, but also the players. It's really the center of attention. It kind of makes me think that maybe there's no good football going on. Packers don't have that problem, but now with US Bank, we are looking to get in there and do some damage. We'll be talking about it all offseason, you know it. It's just, we're not going to shy away from it. That is the goal. You talk about the goal. You got to make it happen on the field. A lot's got to happen in between. And Ronnie likes a Pack versus Raiders. I've been talking about it for a long time. And and the thing is, here's the interesting thing, Ronnie, right, is, with the Packers Chiefs last year, it was a legitimate possibility. If the Chiefs had a little better quarterback, the one that supposedly was better than Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to go back to that though, but they're a playoff team. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Raiders, same situation. Look at their offseason moves. They get Carr back. The reason they were basically out of the playoffs is because they lost him at the end of the season. Was it at the end of the season or the first playoff game? I can't remember. But it's legitimate. It's a legitimate possibility. And how many out there in Packer Nation want somebody to knock off the frickin' Patriots? Rethman wants a Rodgers versus Brady. I've seen enough of Tom Brady. I could care less about the matchup. I'd rather see David Carr. Am I saying the right Carr? Derek, knew it didn't sound right. I'd rather see Carr versus Rodgers. I'd rather see the new GOAT, the up-and-coming GOAT that's going to end up beating all of Tom Brady's records when the dust clears on those two careers, against a guy who is in Carr, who is a really young guy. And they brought in Marshawn Lynch. But guys, are you excited? I'm surprised nobody has said anything about our group of running backs that we've got coming on. Is anybody excited about that? I mean, all the way down to Devontae Mays, I've got reasons to be excited. And now the comments are coming. Virginia, I like Carr. That would be a great matchup. Yeah, I think that would be a great matchup. Frankly, you just can't beat the historical nature, even though, you're looking at a Packers team that has stayed put. Their history is intact. You're looking at a Raiders team that is not. And frankly, I don't hate the Raiders. After the Brett Favre game, after Brett Favre's dad died, I hate the Raiders in the AFC a lot less than I hate the Patriots. I don't care what the situation, what the matchup is. Someone in the AFC needs to get it done and knock the Patriots out of the playoffs. And John is mentioning it. Guys, yeah, I mean, the matchup between Alex Smith and Rodgers, that had all the... It's not just Alex Smith versus Rodgers. You've also got Andy Reid and Mike McCarthy, two former coaches with the Packers. One, the current coach and a former coach. Brandon's got a bold prediction. Brandon, I think you're good for these. I like them. That Jamal Williams is going to be twice the back that Eddie Lacy has been to us. I got a hunch you might get a thumbs up for that one. Waylon likes this group of backs, and I think they are all going to compete. I think Williams is, I think Jamal Williams is the guy that I would, put up there too, but don't count any of them out. And, you got to figure after last year we keep, that the two late round picks are going to have a chance to compete. Now that we cleaned house, they're going to definitely have a chance to compete, and then we'll probably try to get one that we can, hide on the practice squad, depending on how many. John's got 1,000 yards for Jamal Williams. Ryan Nelson, I get excited if we can get 100 yards on the ground every game, which would be great, yeah. And again, a lot of it, last year it was because we didn't have a running back. In previous years, it can be, we sometimes fall short of 100-yard rushing because we have Aaron Rodgers too. But did you catch the stats on Aaron Jones, I believe? Yeah. This guy was getting 100 yards per quarter. I think he had 6 games with 100 yards in a quarter. He was getting 100 yards in halves. And he's an exciting guy. This guy can run away from him now. And he's great in the second level. If he gets to the third level, he can be gone at any time. Wendy, yes, I am wearing a Special Olympics shirt. I guess you can't see it. It's mirrored on your screen anyway. So a shout out to anybody that's involved with Special Olympics, both of those that compete and those that help out. Yes, that's the story on Jones. And he's not that big. He's not your prototypical Packer running back. At 215 pounds, I think, 5'10", 215. So this kid was screaming. This kid, he broke every record, I think, in the books. And so don't count any of them out. And then you go down to Mays. Mays had injury concerns. I think Mays could have been picked a lot higher. So it's going to be a great camp. And again, that's another position I can't wait to watch in the preseason. Because if you look at the running back position, you can talk all you want about how preseason games are so vanilla. So what? At the running back position, you hand them the ball and they run with it, and you get a chance to see. People are, it's live tackling time. And I'm looking forward to seeing these guys battle it out. Really looking forward to it, actually. And frankly, by the time, I think Roger messaged me this morning about how he's already got Packer withdrawals. And I messaged him back just like, Twitch, Twitch. But by the time the preseason comes around, I'm ready to watch football in whatever form it may take. I watch the preseason for different reasons, and we'll talk about that. Ronnie, I like what you're saying, man, and I like the way you think. He says, we're going to be balanced for once. And I think, and I might push the balance idea. I know Mike McCarthy talks about wanting to have a balance. A lot of teams talk about trying to get closer to 50-50. I think, and you see this out of Mike McCarthy, I would like us to overall come to more balance, without a doubt. It was kind of an exceptional year in terms of the running back situation. Well, obviously. But to me, the balance that I'm looking for has a big scope of the entire season. Within the season, individual games and individual defenses that have particular guys that present particular problems, I can see us having a heavy passing game in one game, and then having you come up against, maybe it was the Seattle Seahawks, and it was down the road. That was when Eddie Lacy really is going to play a part in that game. When you come up against a team that really, that we can take advantage of in terms of maybe your Bears struggling in the backfield, their pass rush is developing. Maybe that's a game where we get to a 50-50 balance, or we just let Aaron Rodgers. Depends on the matchups that you're putting on the field. And that, to me, is sort of that's the free-flowing decision-making that happens during the game. Honestly, I think it's a lot of what McCarthy gets criticized for, because what it can end up looking like is, if they think they can take advantage of a certain matchup, what it ends up looking like is we're kind of doing the same thing over and over again, and we don't have any balance, when really what they're trying to do is push a certain button and then swing back when that particular aspect of the game starts to get attention. You believe that you have an opportunity elsewhere. And so yeah, I definitely hope we get closer to balance. But I do foresee that there will be games in which one of these young bucks is going to have 120 yards or more. I mean, look at the Chicago game when Ty Montgomery broke out with 167 yards rushing. That came down to, and sometimes it's just, if you get a hot hand, just feed him the ball, So yeah, I see it a little bit more free-flowing, but the difference is that we're in control. I see us taking the helm rather than having the situation at running back dictate to us how we have to install our game plan. Now I think we see the situation at running back allowing us to push the buttons where we think there are vulnerabilities, and then as the minute that vulnerability is given attention, whether it be the running game or if we can pound the A gap and then they've got to drop somebody into the box, there's an opportunity. It's one of the simplest, most basic concepts. This is a chess match out there. It's a live chess match. And I think, and maybe you guys have a thumbs up if you agree, that this is now the team. Again, there's a lot of young players. We don't know how they're going to develop. But I really, truly believe, and don't forget, we added our guard, possibly our starting guard. We've got some young guys in the mix as well on offense. We shored up that position. Along with the running back situation, we added Martellus Bennett and Lance Kendricks. And while Bennett is a great addition, Kendricks is going to be stoked to be playing for the Green Bay Packers, guys. He's a former Badger. And they're all happy to be playing for Aaron Rodgers. Martellus Bennett knows how to get it done. He just got a ring. He wants another one. He's not satisfied. So I think, especially on offense, this is an offense that is in the perfect position to dictate to defenses what they're going to do. Max calls it scary. Tim, great question. Tim wants to know, how many yards will Eddie Lacy have against the Pack? I'm willing to make a bold prediction off the top of my head because that's such a good question. Philippe is here from Brazil. Everybody give Philippe a thumbs up or a heart. Good to have you, man. Eddie Lacy, the Packers' run defense, I think, is going to be better There were comments about Vince Beagle, about our inside linebacker situation. I think Vince Beagle may see either Vince Beagle on the outside with Clay Matthews kicked in, or Beagle at the inside linebacker position in some situations. I think the Packers have to decide whether they like Vince Beagle's ability to cover tight ends and maybe receivers out of the backfield, or whether they like him better as a run stuffer. I think Beagle's going to be a big contributor. Yesterday, somebody made the bold prediction that he was the best pick of this year's draft. I wasn't quite there yet, but hey, I like it. I think, don't forget, we talked about the offensive side of the ball. Guys, we did some stuff on defense. We brought in Ricky Jean-Francois. He is going to help our defense. Against Seattle, we won't have Guyon back. Kenny Clark is going to be in his second year. He's the Mike Daniels sort of guy. I do believe Vince Beagle has a wrestling background also, if I'm remembering right. And Chuck is mentioning, don't sleep on Dean Lowry either. He actually showed, it could be argued that he showed a bit more than Clark. And now we bring in Montravius Adams. It's just as important to have a lot of good guys that you can rotate in on your defensive line as it is to have that starting role, the starters. If there's too much of a drop-off after your starters, you've got to rotate those big bodies in there. And, oh man, all right, we will pause the show. Bryce is asking if I sent Cheeseburger Eddie Feast Mode a link to the Aaron Rodgers 40 burger. Not yet, but if I get a chance, I will. So the question about Eddie Lacy I think he is sub 100 against the Packers coming out of the box. I think he's going to want it. He's going to come in angry. He's going to have a lot to prove. We don't even know if he can make weight just yet. It was funny to see the comments because this is the month. He has to hit his first benchmark in this month. He has to be down to like 245 and stay there all the way through December. Judy Myers, there's a happy birthday out there? But I think we hold him to under 100 yards. That's not a very bold prediction, so I'm going to make the bold prediction that Eddie Lacy has less than 67 yards against the Packers. And I'm kind of basing that, remember last year, how good our run defense was unbelievable for the first 4 or 5 games until we hit, week 6 against the Cowboys. Our run defense was that was the storyline of Packers against the Cowboys was this, irresistible force meets immovable object kind of a thing. Zeke Elliott, the irresistible force. Well, actually, it's the Cowboys line that was the irresistible force, and the immovable object was the Packers at that time. Hi, Leslie. Holding her down in Texas. Yeah, we were dominant, and then it just fell apart, kind of. But really, again, it wasn't our run defense. I think teams just finally realized we don't have to run against the Packers. And so if you didn't have a dominant offensive line and a dominating running back, your game plan changed dramatically at that point. Michael, I think Wilson will be sacked twice and intercepted once. Okay, and if you're going off last year's game against the Seahawks, that's not a very bold prediction. But yeah, I understand because this is a new year, and the Seahawks are going to come in there. They were embarrassed last time, so they're going to want to make a point. And I agree with you. I think we get a couple sacks. All right, I've got a question off the top of my head. I think it's going to happen. So, in what week will Vince Beagle record his first NFL sack in his not in his home state necessarily, but as a Green Bay Packer? In what week will Vince Beagle record his first sack as an NFL player? I love that game too. That Seahawks game was awesome. I got to get with Garth. We got to talk about the schedule. I've hardly had a chance even to look at it since we brought it out. JB's got week 3. Roddy's got week 1. He just went and put it up on the board. We got week 3, which to me I think is kind of a sweet spot. Because week 1, I'm not sure how much playing time you'll see. Josh has Clay sacking Wilson. Gene says I should come to the Packers game in Dallas. I would love to if you can make it happen, man. I'd probably have to get on the motorcycle to make that one. But yeah, hit me up. Let's make her happen. We got a lot of people saying week one. Seattle's offensive line was a huge problem spot, kind of like the Minnesota Vikings last year. I believe they picked up Pocic, or however you pronounce it, I think, in the draft. They're trying to do some work on that. They tried to get Lang, didn't work out for him. Foster's got week 6. Gene, I bet you would be great hosts. I would love to get down there. My dad lives in Texas part of the year. I'd love to get down there. But all right, folks. What else do you have? What else do you want to talk about? Wow, we've already been going 40 minutes. I'm trying to think. I did want to talk about this running back situation because I'm pretty stoked about these rookies coming in. And remember, realistically, yeah, when you go to the Vikings Stadium and you boo, you are doing your due diligence. So definitely a shout out for that. But I'm excited about this group, and what I wanted to mention too, we always talk about the rookies that came in, the way they're going to battle it out. Keep in mind, Ty Montgomery, this is going to be basically his first full year as a running back. So he's going to have some benefits. He's a second-year player, very much. He just happens to be one who's a veteran in terms of wide receivers and running routes. And he's going to add to this mix. And McCarthy made it clear he's our starter. Tell me how poor Clark played and tell me why Adams won't be the starter. I don't understand. Who gets the most playing time out of the three? It's a really good question. And I would not be surprised if Jones doesn't do more than a lot of people would think by where he was picked. Devontae Mays, I'm a little concerned with that injury history, but at the same time, I think he, number one, he's hungry. I'm kind of expecting, that Jamal Williams is going to be that guy that gets the most playing time. In the preseason, they're going to rotate those guys in and just try to get them in as many different situations. The thing, I will say this, the thing with Devontae Mays is he did not catch out of the backfield. He had a good 2015 season, had a chance to really come on strong in 2016. But he's a guy that the Packers are going to have to figure out what all he could do, which to me, that kind of puts him at the bottom of the list as far as I'm concerned, because they still have to feel him out a little bit. And anytime you're just a little bit behind on some of those things, it hurts you, frankly, in training camp. Which does mean in the preseason, I think he may get more reps because they're going to need to find out more about him than I think any of the others. I think Williams may be the guy. I think Devontae Mays is going to make it interesting. And I like them all. I'm not saying there's any, because, you look at Mays, he's going to be so hungry. He's got something to prove. He's got the chip on his shoulder, to use the cliche. And all of these guys have the benefit. Ty Montgomery is not going to be this close to the vest kind of veteran. That's not the way we do it in the Packers organization in general, and Ty Montgomery is just not that kind of guy. So I think this group of draftees is coming into as good a situation as they can. The problem is there's a lot of competition, but that's what makes teams better. The trouble I see is that, it's going to be very difficult for any of our undrafted free agents to really be able to come on, I think, in that area. Tim thinks Dupree will really be good. He's a guy that, again, by the time the dust settled on the draft, I was perfectly happy because I would have been a little ticked off after we picked 3 running backs if we left him on the board. I think he's worth trying. This is a guy that, and Yancey to some extent the same way, but But this is a guy that's intriguing. As a 2nd, 7th round pick at almost pick 250, this is a guy that could have been picked in the 3rd or 4th round. And good guy to bring into the mix. We'll talk about the wide receiver depth, and that's another competition where we've got question marks. Maybe we should need to talk about it now. Because, you got Geronimo Allison, who really showed some stuff. And you got your Jeff Janis in the mix. We don't know what's going to happen with him. We have some young guys already in the mix, so we'll probably talk more about that later. I'm going to try to be doing game reviews, but I got on, and NFL Network is being all goofy on me today. So if I get one done, we'll probably do those on Mondays, and I'm not going to just do 2016 review. We're going to do it and talk about where the holes were, where the weaknesses were, and how those might have been improved through the draft and the free agency situation. And then also what we had that was strengths, whether we've upgraded in those kind of situations. Nick is here late. We are about to close her down there, Nick. Josh says, my friend Travin Durrell is a saint. I bet my dad is cheering now. Those are always cool stories, man, so I'm glad to hear that. It's always great, Josh, to hear these guys at least have a chance to realize their dreams, Brandon has hashtag Brady's Chalk Talk. I think I used to do a post that was a sort of Chalk Talk post. If I go back to that, which I was thinking about doing just this year, maybe even in the off season, we could do it with these preseason games and make some correlations. But I love that title, by the way. So I'm going to keep that in mind, and I'm going to write it down because I just want to give you. Now we did have. I did have a buddy of mine who was a coach who did one last year. I think it was called the Coach's Chalk Talk or something. And Sarah's saying 2-hour show today. Man, it's your guys' show. It's FanTalk Friday, which means, honestly, I had like one small list, and it's basically the running backs I wanted to talk about because that's what I was thinking about this morning. But I actually got up a little late today. I usually don't. I almost never get up late, but I did a little bit. And focused on some other things. I had some cleaning that needed to get done. Nick says hashtag smudgeness. We might have a smudgeness. Hashtag smudgeness is going to show up. Did you guys see that Office episode where I think Jim is, he's under disciplinary action that's like contrived by Kelly in the back. And Michael makes the mistake that smugness is smudgeness. And when Jim sort of contradicts him, he's like, and there's your smudgeness. I love that show. All right, Joe, as long as our defense stays healthy, we're a force to be reckoned with. And I agree with that. It is Cinco de Mayo. Thank you, Virginia. It's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I totally missed that. But yeah, if we can stay healthy, we're gonna be, I think, a defense that really, because again, remember, you've got to factor in the injury situation last year as part of the reason we were so bad. Teams knew they could throw on us. We still have a decent run-stopping defense. Our run-stopping was good. Yes, we got abused by the Cowboys, but they were steamrolled just about everybody. And then when the playoffs came around, it wasn't enough because we got out to the lead. And they were not able to just sort of ground and pound with Zeke Elliott the entire game. Bryce giving a shout out to her mother. What's her name, Bryce? Graduating nursing school today. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Cheers to you. I hope that all the work you put into that amounts to big opportunities for you. And we are very proud of you. And obviously, Bryce, your son is. So congratulations to Jody. Congratulations on that. Everybody throw up a heart or a thumbs up today. It's Friday, man. And it's great to see people accomplishing. And then it's not easy. I know it's not easy. Having done that as a parent, when you're taking 15 credit hours a semester at a master's level, you're not typically supposed to do that anyway, and then you're working a job, and then you got kids. So I don't know what the situation was, but congratulations, big time, from the bottom of our hearts. We know it was hard work, and hope you enjoy. I hope you reap the benefits. That's the reason we work hard on those things, and we definitely will be pulling for you to reap the benefits of all that hard work. So have a great Friday. Enjoy. And you got a great son who's out here, calling you out, and isn't that nice? That's a nice thing. All right. Well, folks, I'm going to let you go for Friday if you guys got somebody else. I mean, I see Cody here, hoping our secondary bands together this year. Lots of tips and picks. All right, Cody, I like that comment. And here's my question. Well, maybe not a question. I want everybody to put the heart button up. Hit that heart button if you're not driving. If you think this 2017 defensive backfield is going to look more like the one we saw against the Seahawks than the one we saw against the Atlanta Falcons. Just hit that heart button if you think this defense, the way it's shaping up, is going to be much more like the one we saw against the Seahawks in December of last year than it will look like the one we saw against the Atlanta Falcons in January. Tim is making a good comment, and it's going back to the congratulations that nurses hold the world together. And I have a lot of experience, my job, and losing a friend to cancer. I have a lot of experience in the hospital, and I did some work at Mayo up there, the Johnson City. I taught a class down here at the medical center down here. And nurses, you do so much work, and you get a lot. You don't get the credit, and you don't get the pay. So again, I agree. Well, cheers to the nurses. They really do a lot of hard work and handle a lot, not just of the physical suffering, but they're usually the ones that handle the emotional side of it and help the family out and are really, truly there for the patients. So I guess that needed to be said too. JB says, have a great Friday. You have one too, man. Says, go Pack. Think of going 3 hours on Friday. I mean, I need more people if I'm going to be able to go 3 hours on Friday. We have yet to hit. I need to be able to. I am hopeful that next year we will be able to go to break on this show, because frankly, it's kind of a necessary evil at that point. I don't get paid at all if I can't light it up. I don't get paid if it lights up unless somebody buys something. So if you guys would, just keep that in mind, and when that button lights up for us and we go to break, keep a list by your phone or on your phone of things that you might need. Richard says, I'm a nurse, Packers can hire me. Yeah, I would love to be, and at least was qualified to be, the Packers chaplain. I'd have loved that. Might as well just go 4 hours if you're going to go 3. We've almost gone 1 already in the off season. And John's asked, what happened to sponsors? Well, we can get sponsors now. And we have not gone fishing for them to a great extent. All right. Yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo. Congratulations to all the graduates out there. I'm sure there's a ton of them out there, and at different stages of life and different stages of education. Jeff wants to be a fly on the locker room wall. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. What is with the love hats? I love hats too. I don't know if this is just general, but I'm seeing it. I love hats too. So I'll be right back, because I have to show you my favorite. This is my Trey Hensley hat. It's going to be mirrored. It's Bob Ikes and Trey Hensley. I tend to wear it backwards. If you're in the Nashville area, check out the Station Inn and look up Bob Ikes and Trey Hensley. Trey Hensley is like 26 years old. I've told the story before, but Trey played the stage at the Grand Ole Opry at age 11, if I'm remembering correctly. He was that good. He's now playing with one of the best dobro players in the universe, and has already, within just a couple years of moving to Nashville, I worked with him for 3 years. Within just a couple years of moving to Nashville, he got a Grammy nomination. I think he got 2 of them. And so if you're in the Nashville area, do yourself a favor and watch one of the best pickers you will ever see in your life. It's bluegrass music. It's not country. I used to watch him in the marinas around here playing all the classic rock songs. He's a big classic rock fan. But his name is Trey Hensley, and I like hats too, so here's mine. I'm wearing a hat. How did this happen at the end? All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about quickly before we wrap the show up? I know it's been an exciting offseason. You know, we're really kind of looking at, other than those undrafted free agents, of course, roster cuts come at some point. But I think the folks we have in the mix have a lot of people excited. Our free agent acquisitions, Martellus Bennett, Evans in particular, and then Lance Kendricks as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we brought Devon House back. Hey, thanks, man. We brought Devon House back. You might catch a little shine off of it from my Hade. Brought Devon House back. We brought in Ricky Jean-Francois. And then we had what looks like a really solid draft. We traded back. We stockpiled some picks. Ended up from parlaying 8 picks into 10. Kevin King is a first-rounder in my book. I mean, thumbs up or heart if you agree. Kevin King is no doubt a first-rounder in my book. And then we came back, and we got Josh Jones in the second round. I think Montravius Adams. I looked down at my sheet. I think Montravius Adams is going to be a good pick. I think he's going to be a good pick. Even if he just ends up a rotational guy, because down the road, he's going to have a chance to learn a little slower, and I like that idea. We've got, the list. We got our 3 running backs. One of the things I did want to talk about, we've got a good question. Alvaro is asking, how much cap money do the Packers still have in the salary in space? And I don't know that off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up now. The signing of Jari Evans, changed that a little bit. And we talked, he only got $200,000 guaranteed. He's going to likely make more than that. Of course, this is a guy that, again, he's no risk or very low risk, because at that $200,000 minimum, if things don't work out, you can get rid of the guy. I think he's going to work out. I think he's going to work out pretty well. Sunburn spot. Yeah, I got to watch out. Especially in the spring. But at any rate, I think we're sitting pretty in terms of, if we can stay healthy, if these guys develop the way we kind of expect them to, all these rookies still have a lot to learn. They're going to be on a continuum in terms of how well they pick it up. The inside linebacker question was brought up again as well. I think we have the flexibility with a guy like Vince Beagle. I think Vince Beagle is going to be a key part of this offense down the road. I know there are some that question that. I think he's going to be a key part of this offense. And I posted, again, we talked about it yesterday, the size and speed and explosiveness comparisons to Clay Matthews are striking. That doesn't mean he's going to play at the same level, because there's a lot more to it than that. But what it does mean is I think he has the potential to come in and be a rookie who's a guy that can really be a significant role player in this offense. And if they find, I think perhaps, in some of Dom Capers' more exotic blitzes, I think that Vince Beagle can thrive in those situations. And yes, as far as cap space, it looks like we're going to be able to save some back. My nightmare scenario was we're going to have more than $10 million in cap space and we weren't going to sign anyone. Well, Ted Thompson, to his credit, we lost a lot of guys, and he signed back folks to fill those gaps. And then we had a good draft. Daniel's late as well. We are closing it up, Daniel. But hey, you can always watch the show post to Facebook, so you can watch it whenever you want. You just lose out on the interactive, and I miss out on you guys when you don't make the show. I find it funny though. I love it that people, when you're late, I love it when you tell me, because I hate being late to stuff. Man, it just bugs me. But guys, yeah, we will be doing bi-weekly a Friday live show called Total Tailgating. If you want, jump in on that. I'm looking to interact with you guys as we make some delicious food. We had the Aaron Rodgers 40 burger, which, trust me, you want to make this burger. It was fantastic. And you can win by sending me your recipe for an Aaron Rodgers 40 burger. We also have our Fire Fan League. Baseball is right coming online right now. So hit the Use App button. You got to fill out and create yourself a profile. And then you download the game and you sign in and you're ready to play. Our Packer Nation League is, obviously we'll be coming back to football. But Bryce, I'll share the link. I think you're asking to share the link for the Total Tailgating. So I will do that. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves about coffee, your daughters, your mothers and sisters. And I'm not sure if I can do this while I'm running live right now, but we're going to find out. All right, if I get knocked off right now, it's because I tried to post while I was running live. But yeah. Yeah, it's on it's the tailgate page. I'm going to post a link to it. I have noticed some people have been having trouble. I've seen it from several people getting the notifications that we're going live. But you should have that link there on our Facebook fan page right now. I did notice that some people, and people have mentioned this about this video blog as well, guys. Some folks are having trouble getting the notifications. So you should be able to just either tap the video, I think, or hit the hamburger menu up in the top and say receive notifications. But it does. I've seen even somebody. Reggie showed me she had the notifications but wasn't getting them. One of the things we're going to do when the season rolls around, it's going to be a weekly show when the season rolls around. Right now, we're still kind of fine-tuning it. A cooking show is much more difficult to do than what I do here. But we are going to have, like we have with Good Packer Nation Morning, it is going to come on at the same exact time every week. To me, that's just the best way to try. If you guys aren't getting notifications, you'll still know, okay? And then, if you really are concerned, you could always set your own reminder. I hate that it works that way. I can't. Thank you, Alvaro. But there's really there's nothing I can do. I mean, Facebook, for some reason, and Facebook distributes and decides. That's why you're not seeing as many posts from me, because at some point, Facebook decided not to distribute my stuff the same way they do other stuff, and it makes it very difficult. We are beholden to them. And Daniel says, my wife would watch that if we have a cooking show. Yeah, and it's Total Tailgating. It's going to be called, Daniel, and it's going to be a wide-ranging show. We'll do everything from knife skills to dirty steaks to more kind of off the beaten path of tailgating to your traditional tailgating. Hi, Jim. I had a blast doing it, and I didn't get a chance to eat the burger in front of you guys, but that's my favorite part. I get to eat at the end of this show. And also we are going to be trying to find ways that you guys can send us a recipe and we can make them and you guys can win a prize. We'll be working on that a little bit too. So it's going to be a ton of fun, and you eat all year round. So if you plug in Total Tailgating as part of your off-season menu of things you want to do, now Total Tailgating is an NFL show. So I try not to hit the Packer fan thing. And please, if you see another NFL fan come on, please don't troll them for being on that show. Please encourage them to come back because this is an NFL general show. And I don't want people to come on and feel like we're going to be, sideswiping them for being a fan of, say, the Eagles or whatever they are. In fact, I'm planning to bring some of my friends on from other teams, and we'll all wear our gear just as a good time. But it will help smooth out, I think, your off season if you check out Total Tailgating. And so I hope you do. All right, guys, I'm good. I'm going to let you go for today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's been great to start my Friday with you every Friday. It's great to start my day with you every day. Fridays are particularly good, though, because the weekend is here. Travis is here from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I have a good friend from Cedar Rapids. Haven't been up there for a while. Iowa has some good people up there. Nikki, great gal. Bunch of good people. We'll see you, Brandon. Peace out. Ruthman, I hope I'm saying. Oh, is it John? Maybe that's the last name. It's hard with Facebook names. Richard, Roger, Wendy. Have a great day, Tim. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great, safe weekend. We'll see you back Monday. Same pack time, same pack place. Peace out, Peter. Go Pack.